Hello, everybody. Welcome to one more exciting session in the series AWS Bootcamp. In this session, we'll basically discuss about Elastic Block Storage and Elastic File System. So these two services helps us to give additional storage to the EC2 instances. So we'll understand more in depth about these two services, Elastic Block Storage, Elastic File System, and in which scenario, which storage we have to use. Now let us speak about Elastic Block Storage. Now, Elastic Block Storage, it provides block level storage volumes for EC2 instances. Now, they behave just like your raw unformatted block devices. You can mount these volumes as devices on your EC2 instances. Now, EBS volumes that are attached to an instance are exposed as storage volumes and persist independently from the life of an instance. That means, even let's say an instance, it is failed. Okay, we still have the EBS which is running. Okay, let's say this is an instance. Now, there's an EBS volume attached to this particular instance. Now, even this EBS instance fail, this volume will be still there. You can attach one volumes, you can attach two volumes, or you can attach more volumes than that. Now, AWS recommends Amazon EBS for data that must be like quickly accessible and requires long time persistence. Like for example, a database, a file system, an application that requires a fine granular updates and access to raw unformatted block level storage. In those kind of scenarios, EBS is well suited. So with the help of EBS, we can increase the storage size of a of a EC2 instance. These are like, you can simply say that like your external hard disks that are attached to the EC2 instance. So the size, the EC2 instance will get a more storage space. And one important thing that we have to make sure when we are assigning an EBS volume to EC2 instance is that both the EBS volume and the EC2 instance should be in the same availability zone. Okay, if your EC2 instance and EBS are not in same availability zones, you will not be able to uh, assign that volume to the instance. So make sure that your EBS volume and EC2 instance are in the same availability zone. Again, when we are creating, we will see there are a couple of EBS volumes like provisional and general purpose volumes and provisioned IOPS. We will see what is the difference when we are actually creating that. Okay, that is in short about EBS volumes. The next type of storage that you can give it to AWS EC2 instance is called as Elastic File System. In short, it is called as EFS. Now, what is an EFS? An EFS provides a scalable storage, or you can say file storage. EBS is a block storage, EFS is a file storage to use with EC2 instances. Now, let us say, uh, we can simply use EFS file system as a common data source for workloads and applications are running on multiple EC2 instances. Now, if you see the image here, there are multiple EC2 instances and they all are storing the data commonly in one file system that is called as EFS. Okay, so if you want to share the data or your applications are running on multiple EC2 instances and if you want to create a file system for that, EFS is the best. So all the EC2 instance will have the read write access and you can simply call it is like a shared file system. That is what a EFS is all about. So when you create a EFS, basically it does not reserve any storage. As soon as you keep adding storage, it will increase the capacity. So you'll be charged only for the amount of data that you store. Whereas EBS, when you're creating an EBS, you have to mention what size it is going to be. Either 1 GB or 2 GB, 10 GB, 100 GB. We have to mention that. Even if you don't use that space, you'll be charged. Right? That is one difference between EBS and EFS. Now let's do one thing. Let us go ahead and quickly do some hands-on exercises. Create EBS volumes, EFS volumes, and attach to the servers, and let's see how they behave. All right. Let me flip to my AWS console. All right. This is my AWS console. Let me quickly go ahead and create EC2 instances. Let's say launch instance. I'm launching a Windows instance. We will see for both Windows and Linux how to create that. Create a new key pair. Okay, let me go ahead and launch this instance. Okay, while this instance is getting launched, let me launch one more instance for Ubuntu, so that how do you attach a EBS instance for Windows is different from how do you attach a EBS instance for Unix based operating system. We will see both of them. I'm giving the name as Ubuntu EBS, and I'm selecting Ubuntu operating system, and the key pair, let me create a new key pair, EBS Ubuntu. I'm downloading the PPK, create a key pair, and launch instance. So as of now, what I've done is that I have launched two instances. One is Windows, one is Ubuntu. Let me go to the Windows instance. Okay, let me copy this and let me log into that instance. Connect. The default username is administrator. Okay, for the password, let me go here, connect, go to RDP client, get password, upload private key file. This is the PEM file. Open, decrypt password. This is the password. Let me log into that. Click OK. Yes. Okay, I'm logged into my EC2 instance. Okay, the instance has come up. Let me go here and see something called as disk management. To see the disk management, the shortcut, the command is diskmanagement.msc. Okay, go there. Click here to see the disk management console. And if you see here, you see there is only one disk, which is drive C, and it is 30 GB. Okay. Now let us go back to the console, EC2 console. Here you see an option under Elastic Block Store, which is called as volumes. Okay, now I'm in. Let me go to Mumbai region where I was creating. All right, here now if I scroll down here under Elastic Block Storage, you see there's an option called as volumes. Under the volumes, you'll see there. So let me put this as Windows volume. I'm giving the names to this volume so that there will be no confusion. This is Ubuntu volume. Okay, let me create a new volume. The volume name I'm giving the volume size as 2 GB. Okay, now I have told you one thing, right? You have to make sure that the EC2 instance and the volume should be of same region. Okay, now let's see what is my EC2 instance region. Okay, my EC2 instance region is Mumbai. Availability zone is AP South 1A. So I have to make sure that I have to create volume in only AP South 1A. Okay, and it is there in AP South 1A. That's fine for us. You can select option create volume. Okay, I'll give this as EBS 1 as the name. Click on save. You see this is 2 GB. Okay, this volume is 2 GB. Now if you select this volume and go to options called as actions, there's an option called as attach volume. Select this attach volume. Now it will take you to a screen where you can select the instances. Now my instance name is Windows. Select this option called as Windows and attach volume. Okay. Now the volume is attached to the Windows server. Now if I go here, I can clearly see on my server that we created, there is a new volume that is displayed which is called as 2 GB. But it is offline. First of all, we have to make it online. This disk is not initialized. Initialize the disk, and there is no file system. You see, like C drive, there is no file system in here. So we have to create a file system. For that, right click and select option new simple volume. Click on next, next, and then you can select the drive that you want. E drive, F drive, G drive, whatever you wish to, and mount in the following empty NTFS folder. So it is going to be an NTFS file system on that. And next, finish. So now you see there's a new volume with the file system that is created. Let me create one file on this. Select open. Okay, in this I'll create a folder called as demo. All right, in the folder demo, I'll create a text file. Say new file. I'll put some content. This is before snapshot. Okay, file, save. Okay, now I have created this file system. I have added additional. Okay, I have created an additional drive, and in the drive, I have created a file system and I created a file on that. Now, if I go to AWS console, there's an option called as snapshots under volumes. You see the snapshot under volumes. So with the help of this option, we can take the snapshots of the volumes that we have created. Now let's say I want to take a snapshot of this volume. Select the volume, go to actions. It is very simple. There's an option called as create volume from snapshot, create image from snapshot, copy snapshot, etc, etc. Okay, now but first of all, let me go to volumes. I have to take a snapshot first. Select this option volumes, go to actions, select option create snapshot. Okay, what is the any description for this snapshot? My first snap. All right, and create a snapshot. Now if I go into snapshots, I should be able to see the snapshots. Okay, you see this. This is my first snapshot. It is pending in state. Give it a minute. The snapshot will be created. You see, the snapshot is created now. Now what I'll do, let me go to these volumes. Okay, the EBS volume that we have created, I will detach from the server. Detach volume, detach. Okay, now volume is successfully detached. Now I want to delete this volume. Go to EBS volume 1, go to options. Okay, delete is not highlighted yet. Okay, let's give it a minute. Go to the volume, go to actions. Let me refresh this. Now you see there's an option called as delete volume got highlighted. Now let's delete this volume. Delete. Okay, now that volume is there. Let me verify that on my server. Let me refresh this here. You see now, there is no disk, there is only one disk now. The 2 GB disk has been disappeared. Okay. Now, if you guys remember, we have taken a snapshot. Now, let me recreate the disk with the help of snapshot and then assign to the same host. Okay. Now, you see, there is an option called, this is the snap that we created in the snapshot. My first snap is the snap. Select this snap. Now, go to option actions. It will say create a volume from the snapshot. Select this option. 2 GB is the snapshot. Now it has selected all the details by itself because that snapshot size is so much. Okay, 2 GB and the region it has selected. Let me select option called as create volume. Okay, now let's go to volumes and see whether that volume is created or not. Now if you see there is a new volume which is 2 GB that is created. Okay, EBS1, let me name that. Okay, this is the volume which is created. Now let me go to the actions, select option attach volume and go to instances, select the in Windows volume and attach volume. Okay, now let's see on the server. Let us see whether we can see that volume or not and whether data is there in that particular volume. Now if you see you can see the volume 2 GB already there. Now right click and let's open and see whether our file, you see the file demo is there. And then if you go inside, the new file is there and we can see this is before snapshot. All right, that is how we can create snapshots and assign snapshots, or we can create snapshots and create the volumes from the snapshots, and then we can assign the volumes to the EC2 instances to make sure that even if some data is corrupted, if we take a snapshots at the regular intervals of time, we can attach or we can create a volume from the snapshot and I can assign to a EC2 instance. That is how you create an EBS volume and assign it to a Windows EC2 instance. Let us see, we have created a Ubuntu EC2 instance, right? Let me log into this first. We'll create a EC2 instance. Sorry, we will create a EBS volume and assign that to a Ubuntu EC2 instance. Okay, let me log into putty.exe, log into the server, SSH. Okay, authentication, browse, ThinkPen key is this, open, accept. Ubuntu is the username that we have created. Okay, let me log in as a root user. Okay, now let's say I want to first of all create a EBS volume and attach to the EC2 instance, which is Ubuntu or any other thing. Let us see first file dot hyphen s. Or else let's see df. You see, do we have any additional files? We don't have any. These are the drives which are there. Okay. Now let us add a drive and let's come and see whether drive is attached or not. Okay. For that, let me go to volumes, create a volume size, let's say 5 GB. Okay, there are two types of volumes we can create, multiple types. One is general purpose, provision IOPS, okay, cold HDD, throughput and magnetic. So general and provision is a widely used types. So here in general purpose, you will get a range of IOPS. That means let's say from 1000 to 2000 IOPS, it can range anywhere. But provision IOPS, AWS guarantees like, hey, you will get about 1500 IOPS, that means all the 1500 IOPS will get. Okay. So now I have created a 4 GB. I'm creating an AP South one here and create one. So this is a 4 GB volume. If you see, this is the one. I'll name it as Ubuntu volume. Okay, save. Now attach this volume to that EC2 instance. I think the volume is not created yet. Go here, go to actions. It is still, you see the volume is still creating. Now it is available. Attach volume. Attach to a which instance? Ubuntu EBS instance. You see this device name is dev/sdf, but you see here newer Linux kernels may rename your devices to xvdf. Okay, but internally it will be xvdp. All right, so this one you have to remember. Attach volume xvdf, that one you have to remember. Attach volume, the volume is attached. Let me go here again, run me that command df. Okay, let me create a mount system first. Okay, now you see here we can see the new volume. So this is a list block storage. We can see the new volume that we have created, which is 4 GB of size. Okay, now we have to mount this. To mount this, so basically in the Windows we created a file system which is a G drive, right? But here also we have to create something like that. To create a file system, mkfs -t, and ext4 is a file system name like ntfs on Windows. Here it is ext4, and dev slash, on which dev we have to create xvdf. That is what we have to create a file system. Okay, it is created successfully. Let me create a directory. Make directory, I'll say directory name level up. Okay, now let me mount that drive that we created to this particular directory we created. Dev slash svdf slash level up is the directory that we created. Okay, enter. Now let's see df-h. Now you can see there is a volume of 4 GB of size, and it is mounted to a drive called as level up. So now we can go to cd level up ls. There is no files here. We can create any number of files here. Let's say touch cfght. Enter. The files are created. Okay, so now that file system, whatever it is created here, basically it is created on the AWS cloud, which is there on the EBS one. That is how you attach a EBS volume to the Ubuntu instances. All right, let me flip over to my presentation and let's discuss about EFS volumes. Now, if that is EBS, now what is EFS? Now, as we discussed, EFS provides scalable file storage for EC2. Now, if you look into this image here, so there are multiple EC2 instances which can access the EFS, and then we can write or modify from any of the servers. Let us do a hands-on exercise on this and it will be more clear for us. Now, let us see how to do the hands-on exercise of the EFS. Okay, let me make a note of the steps. First, let us create a security group. In the security group, let us add NFS port. Why we need to add this? Because EFS works on a file system protocol called as NFS. So we need to open this port for us to connect the file system to any of the servers. All right. Now, second, let us create two Amazon Linux instances. Okay, and what we will do, okay, even before that, let us create NFS, let us create EFS file system. After that, let's create two Amazon Linux instances in two different AZs, in two AZs. Okay, once we create that in two AZs, what we need to do is that uh, mount this file system, mount this file system on one EC2. Okay, and then create some files on this, create some files, and then again mount the same NFS, sorry, mount the EFS to the second server. Okay, and we will see whether we have those files or not. We will make some edits to the files, and we will see same edits we are observing from the first server or not. Okay, this is what the hands-on exercise that we are going to do. Let me move to my AWS console for that. Okay, I'm on my AWS console now. I'm in a region called as Ohio. Now let's select, first let us create a security group. Let me go to security groups here. I will create a security group. I'll give the name of the security group as EFS itself. So let's say EFS underscore SG. So it is easy for us to understand this particular security group we can give when we want to use the port called as EFS. Now you see there's an option called as add rule. Inside that, scroll down, you will find something called as NFS here. Okay, I mean, if you want to define this only certain, if you want to access this only from certain system, you can give that particular IP address here or a CIDR block of your network. Only this NFS will be accessed by particular network. If you want to allow for public, you can use anywhere. Then you can see this 0.0.0.0. That means anybody can use this, anybody can mount this particular, I mean, sorry, for any system you can mount this particular NFS. Okay, and the port range, port number for NFS that we are going to use, it is called as 2049. Okay, these are the couple of things that you need to remember. If you want to open it for anybody, it is anywhere. All right, and then select option, create this security group. Description, this is for EFS service. Okay, now couple of times I'm using EFS, couple of times I'm using NFS. Is there any difference? So NFS is a protocol. It is called as network file system protocol. Similarly on Windows we have something called as NTFS. Okay, now to use the service EFS we have to use a protocol called as NFS. EFS is a name of the service on AWS to create a file system that can be shared by multiple servers. That what we saw the image a couple of minutes ago. All right, now the first step, security group we have created. What is the next thing? Next thing, I have to create EC2 instances. Let me go to the EC2 instance here. Let me select this option called as launch instance. Okay, now this NFS protocol will work with the Unix based operating system like a Linux or a Ubuntu or Debian, CentOS, or whatever it is. Okay, I will give the name of the EC2 instance as EFS1. Now, what is the image that I'm going to select? I'm going to select the image. Amazon Linux is fine with us. Let me choose that. and instance type T2 micro is good. Create a key pair. If you want to log in, I'll give the key pair as EFS itself. Okay, ppk, and then select option create a key pair. All right, key pair is created. Okay, now the network settings. Now I have choose the default VPC, it choose by itself. Now inside that, if you see, I'm choosing this particular subnet. Okay, so when I'm choosing creating another EC2 instance, we'll choose a different subnet so that it could be part of a different AZ, so that we can see this EFS could be accessed between multiple availability zones. If you remember, the EBS, when we are creating an EBS, it should be part of the same AZ. But the difference here is that EFS could be in any AZ, but still it can be accessed by the server. Okay, that is one of the distinguishing factors when you're choosing EBS or EFS or EFS or EBS. Okay, let me choose that. Auto assign public IP, enable, that is fine. Now here's security group. We already created a security group, right? Let me go ahead and select that security group. The security group I have created is called as EFS underscore SG. I'm choosing that. Storage is fine. Rest all are fine for me. Go ahead and select this option called as launch instance. It is showing instance launched successfully. Let me click on this. It will take about another 15 seconds for the instance to be launched. Now meanwhile, let us go ahead and create another instance here. Let me go to the instances. Select this option called as launch instance. And now I will choose this EFS server name as EFS2. And OS same, instance type, fine. Key pair, I will choose the same key pair that we created. I think the key pair is called as EFS. And now let us go to the network settings. Let me select this option add default. Under subnet, let us choose a different subnet. Okay, and rest all the options security group, let us use the same security group that we have created. So that means we understand that with every EC2 instance there is no need for us to create separate security groups. If we create one security group, we can use that security group for any number of EC2 instances. Okay, rest all options I will leave default and select option launch instance. Okay, this instance is getting launched. Okay, now the first instance, we can see that it is launched. Let me select this instance, select option connect. Okay, it will connect with a username called as EC2-user. Select this option connect. Okay, I'm connecting to this particular EC2 instance from a browser. Now, if you see, I'm able to connect to this particular server. Let me go as root user. Okay, now I logged in as a root user. Let me go to the root drive and select this option called as ls. Okay, these are the default folders which are there. Let me create one folder here. Okay, I'll give the folder name as level up. Okay, mkdir level up. Okay, now let me go into this folder called as level up now and do a ls. No folders are there. df-h to see the file systems. These are the default file systems which are there. Okay, now let us do one thing. Let us create EFS, assign to this particular system, and come back and select this df space hyphen h. We will see the EFS getting mounted here. Okay, let me go to my console. Let me go to option called as EFS. Choose this EFS option here. Select option create file system. Give a name as my demo EFS as the file system name. And this should be the part of the default VPC that we created. So here the EC2s and the EFS that you're creating should be part of the same VPC. You see here, choose the VPC where you want EC2 instance to connect your file system. Select option create. Now an EFS file system is created. Now if you see here the difference, when we are creating an EBS, we are choosing what should be the size of the EBS. But here the EFS, there is no need for us to mention the size. So the difference is that when you choose a 1 GB EBS volume, irrespective whether you use that 1 GB or not, you'll be charged. But here you will not be charged until unless you start storing the file. Let's say you stored a file of 10 MB, you'll be charged only for the 10 MB. That is one more advantage of using EFS over EBS. Okay. Now the file system is created. Let's go to this option called as name, and on the top you see there's an option called as attach. Click on this. Now you'll get a syntax how to attach, either by using an NFS client or either by using a EFS mount helper. Let me copy this syntax. Let's go here and paste. But here I have not given my folder name as demo. I have given my folder name as level up. Let me give my folder name. Enter. Okay, because we are there in this folder called as level up. That's the reason it is saying that there is no mount point. Let me come out of that and run this syntax again.
Like mount point.
Let us use this by using NFS client. If basically this is Amazon Linux, it will have a NFS client. Let me use by login with NFS client, paste, and let me give the name as level up. So basically you have to give here the path. If your folder is there in, let's say, uh, slash some other folder, you have to give the path here. Okay, let me run enter. Now you see this particular EFS that we created on AWS as mounted on this folder called as level up. So now whatever files that I store on this level up will basically stored on EFS on AWS. Okay, now let us do a df-h, enter. Now you can see, you can also see this particular folder here. Okay, previously this is not there. Okay, that means this particular folder EFS that we created is mounted on this folder called as level up. Okay, now let me create some files here. Let me go into this folder called as level up. Okay, let me make one file, cat demo, enter. This is file 1. Enter command D. Okay, let me create another folder, cat app.py. Let's say print hello level up. Okay, and control D. So basically it's a Python file. Now do a ls. I can see both the files. Now do a df-h. Okay, I mean the space occupied is very small. That is the reason it's not showing how much we have utilized here. Okay, now let's go to Amazon file system. Close this file system. Okay, you see here we can see total size is 6 KB. Okay, and you can see it is available. So very small files that we have created, right? We can see once as and when you keep storing the files, we can see how much space it occupied. If we have observed a couple of minutes back when we created, the size was 0 KB. Now it is showing as 6 KB. Now we have created another EC2 instance, right? Let us go back to that EC2 instance. and let us mount the same file system on that, and let's see whether we are able to access this files from that server. Then only this EFS is shared between multiple servers. Let's go to EC2 instance, EFS2. Let me connect to this, connect. Okay, let me change to sudo user, sudo su, root folder, ls. We can see there is no files. Now here let me create a folder by name. We can use same level up also. We can use another folder name also. That should not be a problem. Okay, I'm creating a directory by name level up. Let me go to EFS. Open this, attach. Let me copy this syntax. Go to my EC2 instance. This is the one. Let's do a df-h here. You see, only these file systems are there. Okay, let me paste the syntax and change the folder name. The folder name that I created is level up. All right, enter. Now you see this file system is mounted. Let me do a df-h. Now we can see this file system also there. Okay. Now let us go into this folder, cd level up. And now I did not create any files here. Okay. But in the first server, we have created some files. Now, ideally, the mount system is same, right? So I should be able to see those files here. Let's do ls. Now you see, I can see both the files, app.py and demo. Okay. Let's say what is there in the demo file, cat demo. Okay. Now I'll make edits to this file, cat edit demo. This is line 2. Enter, control D. Okay, now let's say cat.demo. What's there? File 1, line 2. Okay, now let us go to the server 1. Okay, and let's say what is there in this file demo, cat demo. Now you see both the lines are there. That means if we update the files, if we log into any server that EFS is connected, we will be able to see all the files. So that means these files are shared to multiple servers, and whoever user have access to the servers, they can access this particular file system and access the data, modify, edit, whatever operations that you want to do. All right. So let us summarize the session. What we discussed two things. One is called as EBS and second one is called as, we discussed about EBS and EFS. We understood differences between EBS and EFS. We need to understand in which scenario we need to use either EBS or EFS. Both of these options are used for a additional storage for the server. So EBS is a block level storage, EFS is a file level storage. Okay, that's what the difference between EBS and EFS. That is how you need to create these services and attach to a EC2 instance. See you guys in the next session. Take care.